Recruiting key workers is an issue for all employers on the island, and not least for the Isle of Man Public Service, which is a range of specialisms in health for which the demand often outstrips the supply. It can also be challenging to fill certain vacant positions, especially as such hard-to-recruit roles are often subject to wider national or even international shortages. Therefore, it is right that every effort is made to encourage new employees who have the necessary skill sets and experience to be able to best support our existing workforce. The Isle of Man Public Service People Strategy has a work stream aimed at ensuring we are able to attract and hire people at all levels across the public service. The Office of Human Resources support the delivery of this work stream and have been improving the supply of key workers. Since the start of this work, a number of key achievements have been made, including increases in applicants suitable for shortlisting for consultant and speciality doctor vacancies. During 2019, all consultant and speciality doctor vacancies advertised were successfully filled. During the summer of 2019 campaign, 28 teachers were appointed externally, including 10 for maths and science. A recent visit to an occupational therapy conference to promote the Isle of Man as a place to work developed a list of over 120 leads and has already resulted in one application for a live vacancy. All this has been achieved whilst reducing the costs of advertising positions by using more online adverts as opposed to print adverts and focusing on cost avoidance through increasing the number of vacancies filled first time. In addition to the work being carried out on recruitment and attraction campaigns for the public service, for the whole business sector, and in fact the whole employment sector, financial support in the form of the National Insurance holiday and a relocation package is frequently available for candidates moving to the Isle of Man to take up key worker roles. Only yesterday we heard that the key employee scheme was being put into primary legislation to aid this. So in summary, Council of Ministers Social Policy and Children's Committee is actively looking at the issue of key workers, including key worker housing, with plans and proposals being worked up by relevant departments across government. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Moorhouse.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Minister, for that answer. In terms of the overview, it was quite a broad summary of what was going on. In terms of the key sectors you recognise as employing key workers, what areas are they? And also in terms of summarising the key projects that were going on, that was encouraging. But in terms of updates, how frequently do you receive those? So you're able to keep your eye on the pulse of these really quite regular changes.
Thomas.
Thank you. So, Council of Ministers publishes its quarterly update on economics and statistics, which is looks at things on a sectoral basis. In the locate.im programme and the documents published around that, they present their research, which identifies local labour market shortages, in particular in ICT, financial services and accounting, engineering and manufacturing, healthcare, education, and hospitality. And finally, to answer that question, there is a work stream, a cross-government work stream, where we're looking at defining key workers with a view to actually focusing more in terms of responses to key worker deficits, particularly around housing, and that's being led particularly by the Cabinet Office and Department for Enterprise, who are currently scoping, defining key worker with others involved across various sectors, to put together a prioritised register of professions, making sure that we understand the need better and exactly what we can do in terms of response. And I expect that update to come back to the Council of Ministers Subcommittee I chair by the end of the first quarter of 2020. And I'm sure if the Speaker was here, to avoid her asking me a supplementary question, I could report that if that slips, that will become a failure quite quickly, because increasing the economically active population is one of the key macro indicators for this Isle of Man government, and addressing skill shortages is a key macro indicator, and so anything that we don't manage to do in that score is a failure of this government, and I hope it is of every member in this honourable court.
Honourable Member Dr. Allinson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to thank the Minister for his international perspective on this. Would he also agree, particularly given the news from the United Kingdom this morning about their immigration policy, that the way that the Department for Enterprise and the Immigration Service work here in terms of having flexible immigration rules and a work permit system that particularly prioritises key workers is very important for this island in terms of workforce, both in the private and in the public sector?
Hear, hear.
Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. President, and that's an excellent point made in a very good question. People are now focusing on transformation across government projects in terms of climate change and in terms of healthcare, but for 3 years we've been working across government, for instance, in respect of the housing platform that the Minister for Infrastructure referred to, and the point identified just now by the questioner is another perfect example, because Enterprise and Cabinet Office have brought together work permits and immigration in the light of what's going on in the UK and what's permissive. We've had road shows in key sectors, and I want to congratulate the member and also all the officers involved over those last 3 years for putting us in a better place. I also want to thank the questioner, because a few weeks ago he asked a question in respect of immigration and nationality type statistics, and that data is all out there, and it is something that council ministers and the officers who provide updates to us follow regularly, because increasing the economically active population inside the island through things like the Equality Act and training and lifelong learning is vital for us, but also bringing people to the island to enrich us, as immigrants always have done, is also a vital part of our government's programme.
Mr. Moorhouse.
Thank you, Mr. President. DES recently offered to adjust teachers' pay to incorporate the London Fringe benefits. This appeared to be quite innovative. Have any of the government workers been offered similar incentives?
Minister.
So basically there are market adjustments from time to time which take into account the local economy, the profession, the international economy, the national economy, however it's defined. So to answer your question, there are the basic principle of human resources and remuneration is one of job evaluation and grading, fair system of job evaluation and grading, but surrounding that there can be adjustments in a fair way to take into account that sort of thing in some professions, in the private sector and also in the public sector.